Hey guys, this is SF, a kind of a commentary video for you. If you haven't read, that Japan has 4 new ascensions for monsters that are here in North America right now in the NA version: Lancelot, Lancelot X, Lolerey, and Merlin. I'm gonna run down the new abilities and all the good stuff that's added to their ascensions, and kind of talk about how they fare with other monsters and how they fare with other dungeons. This is not really how will place in tier lists, but general stuff that they are useful and general stuff they are not useful for. And also, I'd like to tell you that do not ask me of when they're gonna come, when their ascension materials are gonna come, and all that stuff. They'll come when they come. And yeah, and also this is I'm using a Google Doc. I'll link it. I'll link the Google Doc down in the description bar, so you guys can look, because not everything's there. All the main stuff are there, but like very minor details like powers of uh, the mini bump combos are not up and stuff like that are not there yet. But when they are, I'll update them, and then you guys can just check it through the link down in the description. So let's start with monster number 1, Lancelot. The evolved version is like this. Pretty mediocre in terms of usefulness. No damage wall, strike shot that pierces enemies, and spread shot EL3. Stats are comparable, but the ability strike shot and bump combo are not that strong. Let's go the Ascension. HP gone up a bit, gone up. Attack went down, and speed are pretty much the same after pluses. Ability, the null damage wall stays, but there's a gate shot, which is a null warp. If you don't know what gate shot is, you don't have to know right now, but it's just an extra ability. Strike shot is the same. Bump combo is a piercing spread shot EL, with the same power as his evolved version. Piercing spread shots are spread shots that just pierces enemies instead of hitting the first enemy that they in contact with. And then there's a one-way laser. My prediction is an L power. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna wait for like official news to actually update the Google Doc. Basically, Lancelot did get some improvements, but he became a mediocre to a normal monster. The piercing spread shot is good, and the overall stats improvement are not that great. Just basically a plus for an HP and minus for the attack. One-way laser might be okay, but he went from mediocre to like average. So yeah. I can't really say much about it, but he is okay, but not really great. He won't become like really OP or onto like Zeus level or like stuff like that. Zeus Arthur level, Odin level, like he's not up there yet, and I don't think he'll be up there after the Ascension. Next up is Lancelot X. Evolve form. Stats are pretty much like that. Ability, no gravity barrier, and strike shot pierces enemies just like Lancelot, and a one-way laser EL. Let's look at the Ascend version. Pluses are not there because there's no official stats on that yet, but should be. I'll be updating that later. Ability, no damage wall, and a gauge shot of recovery. Recovery is not here in North America, but recovery is that you recover HP when you hit allies. How much, I'm not sure, but strike shot pierces enemies just like the evolved version. Bump combo, one-way laser EL, the same thing, and a spread shot. If it's like Lancelot, the blue and Lancelot, it might be piercing. with a weaker power level, but we'll see. Lancelot did get some good get a recovery, which is good because there is a new 60 stamina dungeon that has no hearts, so you cannot recover. So gauge shots abilities with recovery are really useful, and that monster is a dark type, so he won't be hindered for attributes. One-way lasers is always good as well. So that 60 stamina dungeon, Lancelot X over Margaret. Whether that monster is actually good depends on his really depends on his usefulness. But if that monster is pretty OP, then he might be ranked a little higher on tier lists as well. Next up, Lolerey. Evolve form. Not many of you have them yet, but stats are pretty weak in terms of in comparison with other 6-star monsters. Ability of Null Warp, Strike Shot Meteor, which is a powerful meteor, and a Homing Piercer 8 with a power of 3,345, which is the highest in the whole game. Now her Ascend version, stats are pretty much down bottom tier of 6 stars as well. Ability of Minesweeper, so she can collect mines and use them to damage enemies, and her gauge shot will be a no warp. Recently, the meta is to use warp zones instead of passing by them, so you can choose not to use the no warp or not use the no warp through the gauge shot. So that's a pretty good improvement in my part. Strike Shot is a meteor. Bump combo, a Homing Destruction Piercer 8 with a power of 4,684. She has put herself into the highest in the homing piercing in the homing department, and a plus laser for the other one. Lolerey is probably my favorite improvement of all of them. Out of the 4, she tops the charts in the homing department, whether it's homing piercer or normal homing. Before, in her evolved form, her homing piercer 8, it was shared by another monster, but right now she's on top of the homing piercing department. And Minesweeper, which is pretty good. Recently there's a lot of Minesweeper mines dungeons out there, and no warp. It's pretty good because meta right now the meta is to actually use warp zones instead of going past them. But Lolerey is my favorite improvement out of the 4. She comes more OP, and she was pretty good before as well. Last up is Merlin. Her evolved. Is it he? I think it's he. It's a her. I'm not really sure, but he, she. Stats okay. Ability of no gravity barrier. Strike shot that reveals weak spots, just like Margaret. Cross laser L. Pretty standard normal. She has her use. He has her uses in water dungeons. Whether it's 60 stam, extreme, savage. She has uses. Ascend. Max. Everything got improved except for attack, I think. Nope, only her HP improved. Speed stays the same, attack went down. Ability, no gravity barrier, and gauge of recovery. Like I said before, there's a new 60 stamina dungeon that brings out no hearts into the dungeon. So she is the #1 pick right now. The dungeon has not been out yet. It's just been announced like today. So she is #1 pick for that dungeon right now because of her strike shot that reveals weak spots. Bump combo is a plus laser L. If you don't know what cross laser is, like a diagonal X, whereas a plus laser is like a T, basically a giant T. And a homing piercer for the semi. I'll update that when I get official information. Basically the improvements are like that. My favorite one is probably Lolerey. She made herself very unique and very sought out for because only she in the game has this kit, especially with the homing piercer 8 that tops all the monsters in the game right now. So my ranking in terms of improvements: Lolerey number 1, Merlin number 2, Lancelot X for number 3, and Lancelot is number 4. Lancelot became like mediocre to like average. Lancelot X became mediocre to above average. Lolerey went to above average to like pretty OP, and Merlin went from like pretty much stays the same between above average to a little OP. That's it for me. If you have any questions about the new Ascensions and stuff like that, be sure to comment. Also like and subscribe. And one last time, do not ask me when they're gonna come out in North America and when the Ascension materials are out. I just like to preference that Merlin has the Ascension material for Emerald Dragon. You might want to hoard a few just in case, but Emerald Dragon will probably be back when Merlin's Ascension comes back. All the other Ascension materials are new monsters, or monsters are not in Japan are not in North America right now. So yeah. So don't ask me those questions. That's it from me, and I hope you liked the video, and see ya.